Environmental Protection Agency keeps tabs on the cleanliness of our nation's air and water. Now it's accused of treating some of its minority employees downright dirty. Diana Olick reports.
Marcia Coleman Adebayo has been a senior analyst at the EPA for 10 years, and she claims it has been a decade of discrimination.
I was an intruder in their world. I could participate in high-level staff meetings, I was told, only because my colleagues regarded me as an honorary white man. And I must admit, I was so stunned. I remember hearing the laughter from around the table.
Coleman Adebayo filed suit, and a jury awarded her $600,000. This week, she and other employees took their case to Congress and took on EPA Chief Carol Browner. One Chicago employee claimed he was often forced to serve as Browner's driver because he is black.
At that point, I did feel the driving Miss Daisy syndrome.
Browner was visibly shaken when Republican Congressman Mark Sanford took his side.
And I think the phrase was, "I wanted the black guy to drive me." That is deeply offensive to me.
Perhaps people behaved poorly, perhaps they had ulterior motives. It's the political season.
Browner told us she was unaware of any complaints.
We've more than doubled the number of minorities in our top ranks. We have the highest level ever of minorities, African Americans, women, Hispanics in our most senior ranks.
There are human beings behind these numbers, and we're in pain. And what difference does it make if you bring 2 million of us to this agency and we're all living in hell?
Coleman Adebayo says there are more like her, just afraid to come forward. Carol Browner says one complaint is enough. And while she believes the Republican-led hearing may have been politically motivated, she does not deny the EPA may need to clean some of its own house. Julie?
Diana Olick in Washington, thank you.
We are not here today simply because a jury recently found that the EPA discriminated against the female African-American PhD employee. As Administrator Browner is well aware, this committee has been looking into allegations of intolerance at the EPA for over a year. The EPA retaliated against them for talking to Congress. I wrote and asked the EPA to investigate these claims. The EPA's investigation consisted of asking the very managers accused of retaliation what happened. The managers dismissed the claims, and EPA, never talking to the employees making the allegations, accepted the manager's version of events. The Department of Labor's Office of Safety and Health ruled in favor of Dr. Rose Russo. OSHA found this transfer, along with other EPA acts, retaliatory. Diversity is not the issue. Harassment, retaliation, and discrimination are the issues.
My name is Marcia Coleman Adebayo. I'm a senior policy analyst at EPA and co-founder, along with Selwyn Cox, of the EPA Victims of Racial Discrimination Group. I was repeatedly told that managers considered me uppity and much too aggressive for a woman. I wrote to Ms. Browner, asking her to please intervene on my behalf to stop the harassment. Finally, on August 18th of this year, a jury of the U.S. District Court in Washington found that the EPA and its administrator violated Title VII of the U.S. Civil Rights Act. The jury found the agency guilty of racism, sexism, color discrimination, and creating a hostile work environment.
You can take your dog to EPA. If you treat your dog bad at EPA, like some of the black people, you will be in jail for treating that dog like that, or your cat. But if you treat black people, you're promoted, rewarded, and move forward.
My name is Anita Nickens, and I'm also a survivor of racism and sexism here at EPA. In May of 1993, the Environmental Protection Agency sponsored the first National Environmental Council on Indian lands in Cherokee, North Carolina. As a new upward mobility appointee, I was assigned to work with a non-supervisory GS-14 on the conference. My job involved assisting with obtaining funding for the conference, as well as providing a list of potential participants from the various Indian nations. I was also expected to attend the meeting and be the EPA point of contact for conference attendees from the agency. While I was attending and participating in the conference, I received a telephone call from my manager requesting that I return to the lodge where myself and 5 other white female EPA employees were staying. Her direct order was that once I returned to the lodge, I was to clean the toilet in anticipation of Administrator Carol Browner's arrival. I told my manager that I would not do it. Federal regulations then went through my mind. Do as asked and then file wrongful job actions when I returned to EPA? When I went to the lodge, I removed items from the bathroom, cleaned the toilet, and did a general cleaning and placed garbage, including beer and wine bottles and cans, in a trash bag. Later that evening, just before the closing ceremony, the manager told several conference attendees that I had cleaned the toilet for the administrator because the bitch could not use the toilet behind someone else. The gentleman who she was talking with asked her why she did not call the tribal office and ask for housekeeping. I remarked she asked me to do it because I was the only black female staying at the lodge. I departed the conference by way of the rear door because I did not want anyone to see my face. I was so embarrassed and blamed myself for giving in to her request. I felt like a scorned woman and that I had disgraced not only myself, but all black women. I went to the lodge and locked myself in my room and cried.
I grew up down south, and down south there were plantations, and there were full employments, and there were a lot of minorities working on the plantations. But the issue was, what you know, did they get to think while they were there? Not did we have a bunch of them? Not are there some more minorities, but have they been free to think as human beings, as talented individuals while they're at the EPA? I think that's the real core question, not a bigger blue chart.
Do you believe Dr. Coleman Adebayo was fairly treated by the agency?
Troubled by what I have heard and by an initial review of the transcript. The judge has not issued an order yet. The jury has made their findings. There has not been an order. I want to be very, very clear about this. I am deeply troubled
and so
by what is in the transcript.
Is that a no? You don't believe she was fairly treated by the agency?
I do not believe, based on the transcript, what I have seen of the transcript, by her colleagues, with the respect that any employee. The jury has heard the testimony, very troubling, deeply burning, deeply troubling to me. We will absolutely, when we get the judge's order, we will comply, absolutely.
I have a request of you, Ms. Browner, that you spend your personal time cleaning up this mess so that the new president does not get a can of garbage to start out the new administration.